Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me once again on another Dominions 5 adventure. This is Accidental Ascension 3, the third incarnation of the ever-popular, completely random Pretender God challenge. We are playing in the Late Age, and we are playing as the nation of Gath, the last of the giants. Now, unfortunately, Gath is an awful nation to play with a random Pretender in because they want very specific things. And if you look at my scales, you may notice that I received none of those things. Except Drain. Gath actually does like Drain. If you've watched my basic nation analysis video on Gath, you'll know why, but just to recap real quick, Issacharite Sages cost only 1 commander point, give 6 research, and are unaffected by magic or drain scales. So you can just pump out 3 of them and be happy. Now, unfortunately, Gath also wants a few other things, like production. Gath wants production because a lot of its units, I mean, it's the Late Age. A lot of its units are very intensive in resources, including the ones that are good. So, yeah, not having that is actually a huge problem. Given... yeah, Sloth 3 is a huge problem for Gath. Also, Gath, I mean, obviously they wouldn't like bad scales in general, but also Gath wants either a really good Bless or a really good Expander. And unfortunately, my random god was neither of those. Let's take a look at my god. I showed it at the end of that analysis video, but let's actually back out of the game real quick and take a look at my god here. If we look at viewed created pretenders, Master Blaster, the Lord of the Summer Plague. He is dormant. He has Blood 9, Nature 2, Death 5, Fire 4. Those are great paths. He'll be able to do great things in the late game. Unfortunately, he paid for it with horrible scales. He has no growth. Heat 1. If you're making a god for Gath, you should go Heat 3, since they start at Heat 1, and so Heat 3 doesn't really hurt them much, but I digress. Sloth 3, you would rather have Turmoil than Sloth. Like, legitimately, your giants cost little by way of recruitment points. You would much rather have Turmoil than Sloth. Misfortune 3, and Drain 2. Drain 2, like I said, doesn't really hurt Gath all that much. Sloth 3 hurts Gath a lot. And, of course, the Lord of the Summer Plague is not an expander. He is dormant. And his Bless is ridiculous. 2 times superior morale, minor fire resistant, which is largely irrelevant because the giants already resist fire and the humans you don't care about. A single point of Undying. And then Withering Weapons, Strength of the Flesh, that's fine. Those are fine and they have some synergy. And then Unholy Weapons. Unholy Weapons is one of the worst weapon blesses. It does a lot of damage. I mean, it's the most powerful single hit among the weapon blesses, but it only works on enemy pretender gods and sacred units. So if you're worried about a sacred rush, yeah, okay, maybe take Unholy Weapons. Although even then, really, there's better ways to spend 6 points of blood. But especially in a random pretender game, there's not going to be any sacred rushes. So I'm not worried about sacred rushes, so I don't know. It's a problem. This god is just a huge fucking problem. Pardon my French. I do have the Plague Bow, I guess. So once he comes out, he can shoot at people. He's not good. He's bad. He's super bad. I'll probably just be site searching and researching with him once he arrives. I named him Master Blaster because, of course, Master Blaster runs Bartertown, which is a hellish wasteland full of destruction and depravity and not much else. And that pretty much describes Gath under his rulership. So, we're starting the turn here. We are going to prophetize Yoel. We're going to move Yeriel. Now, the one good thing is I do have a wasteland in my cap circle. Normally that wouldn't be, like, a matter for celebration. I love the little snail icons, by the way. The little, like... I mean, I guess it's actually a cow skeleton on its side, but that has always looked like a snail to me. I mean, can't you see that? See, it's got little antenna. It's got the shell back there. It looks like a snail. It's a snail. I know it's supposed to be a cow skeleton, but it'll always be a snail to me. In any case, I have a wasteland in my cap circle. Normally, that wouldn't be a matter for celebration, but in this case, for Gath, it is, because it means I have a place right next door where I can cast Scapegoats and summon Se'irim. And Se'irim will be fantastic. Especially with the Undying and the Strength Bless plus the Decay weapons, they'll be great. The morale, not relevant for them, but at least it will mean that my Sacreds won't rout unless everything goes disastrously wrong. Gibborim are a lot worse than Anakites. They're basically like... They're like half an Anakite or a little bit less for 2/3 the price, but since Anakites are grotesquely underpriced, that's fine. I have exactly enough resources to recruit 1 Gibor, which I think I will probably do. The starting army of Gath is not awful, but it's not great. You have these Zebulonite soldiers who are basically mediocre, like, middle-aged troops with formation fighter, and then you have Naphtali spearmen, which are independent light infantry, like literally independent light infantry. So, not great. With 39 resources, in terms of recruitment, I'm going to recruit... I would like to recruit a Zebulonite Hornblower to give everybody a morale bonus, but if I do that, that means I can't recruit a Gibor, and I can't even recruit a Gittite soldier. Gittite soldiers are not bad. They're a lot like the light Colossi infantry that Phasia gets access to. They have these javelins that hit really hard. They have a spear attacks that hit pretty hard. They've got okay prot and defense skills, and they've got high hit points. So for the cost, Gittite soldiers are fine. Also, Asherite soldiers are actually pretty good. They have high prot, good defense skill, with that, a good quality attack. But because of these resources, I could only recruit 1 if I were to recruit 1. I could also recruit 2 Levite Zealots, like that. Levite Zealots are literal garbage for the price, except they have a patrol bonus and they're sacred. So the sacred means if you take a good bless, you can recruit masses and masses of Levite Zealots, which can be recruited anywhere you have a fort and a temple, not just in your capital. And you can spam them out and use them as like your mainline troop. And you can use them to patrol for your blood hunters, because you are of course a blood nation. Unfortunately, none of that makes them good at expanding, especially with my weird unfocused bless. Prot 12, defense skill 13, attack skill 10, it's just not useful for expanding. They're not very good. Literally any of my other units are more cost effective at expanding. Like Zebulonite soldiers, 12, 14, they have higher defense skill, and they cost less in terms of both gold and resources. More recruitment points though. Zebulonite hornblowers give morale bonus. Gadite swordsmen have a better attack, higher prot, and a javelin. So, like, everything else is better at expanding than Levite Zealots. What I'm going to do is I'm going to recruit 1 Gibor, and we'll see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 provinces directly adjacent to me, which is great. That means that I might have a hope of getting enough resources to do something. We'll see if any of them are easy. If there are easy provinces around me, then I will try to expand into them next turn. If not, I'm just going to wait. I may end up waiting a couple of turns in order to expand, recruiting 1 Gibor per turn. Because Giborim are definitely going to be my best bet right now, because they're tough, and what I need to do is minimize my attrition. The other option here would be to try to recruit Gittite soldiers, but it's just not gonna really help. I've tested expansion with this god several times, and it is a shit show. It is the worst. I could get 3 Gittite soldiers in 2 turns instead of 2 Giborim in 2 turns, but my other option is to go for Benjaminite slingers and just accept heavy casualties at first in order to get a province. I could get 3 of them, and then I could get 4 next turn, so I'd end up with a total of 7. And they have double attacks, but their prot is 6, so they take damage. They take all kinds of damage. It's just not very good. Alternatively, I could pump out a whole bunch of archers, but they only have short bows. And in the late era, that is a terrible, terrible gamble, because most independents' short bow arrows just won't make an impression on. They just won't do damage against anything with medium armor. Or I could get a couple of Zebulonite soldiers to bulk up my formation fighting contingent. It's just... I just have to grit my teeth and take the Gibor. It's the best option I have, and it's a shitty option. But in any case, if I can get out of the expansion phase relatively intact, Gath opens up a lot of options. As I said in the strategy video, they've got a lot of magical versatility. They've got nature, they've got astral, so they have communions. They've got death and earth in the Yedonai and the potential to put those into communions. They've got nature 2 plus randoms on the Abbas and healing. Healing is vital. The Kohens have the standard Rephite paths plus blood 1, so they're the only Hinnom line nation with an efficient blood hunter. And the Kohen Gadols, of course, give you very, very good paths. And they can summon demon knights, they can summon devils, they can summon lesser horrors, they can do all sorts of things, especially late game Kohen Gadols are scary. Because with this nation, You will also eventually get the right randoms to forge crystal gear. Because, for example, you get a Yadonai who randoms Astral, right? You get an Astral random Kohen Gadol and an Earth random Kohen Gadol, or even just an Earth random Yadonai. You forge Earth Boots, you forge Starshine Skullcap, you put them both on your Yadonai. He's now Earth 2, Astral 2. Now he can forge Crystal Coins. Now you can boost up to Astral 4 on Kohen Gadols. At Astral 4, in combination with the Blood, will let you do pretty much all of this. It'll let you get... You're close to Astral Corruption at that point. You also have the Astral Nature Cross Path, so you can forge Moonvine Bracelets to boost Nature. And ramp up into nature that way. You can cast all of the horror spells except for Send Horror or Astral Corruption. You can also throw down Astral Corruption late game. You might have to empower an Astral in order to pull it off, but you can do that. So, you got a ton of good stuff going for you. I just have to get out of this early phase with my skin intact. So, like I said, odds are one of these will be relatively easy to take, and I'll take it just to get the resources and try to get my recruitment going. My best expansion is probably going to end up being Gethite Soldiers, because they give me the best ratio of resources to expansion power. Gibbors with my Bless don't, really. I mean, they might. I might use them insofar as I can and mix them in with the Gethite Soldiers, but overall it's going to be the Giants for me, and my expansion is just going to be slow. Like, at the end of 12 turns, in every test I've done, if at the end of 12 turns I have like 8 or 9 provinces, I'll be happy. My goal is just to close my cap circle and hopefully take like that and a couple of these for like these provinces down here, get a second fort going. If I can accomplish all that, if I can accomplish that, get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 provinces by the end of the first year and have a fort either built or in progress, I'll be ecstatic. I'll be over the moon. I'll be in the game with a shot at that point. Because most people also got terrible gods. Satis, unfortunately, got a pretty good god. Let's actually tell you what. Why don't we take a look at everyone else's gods real quick? Because Prey made up a handy-dandy little diagram of them. So hang on one second. Okay, so here's the Accidental Ascension 3 god... oh, wow, that got big. Here's the god... list. So we've got Arcocephale with an imprisoned sorcerer, no, an awake sorcerer with a massive rainbow bless. Pretty bad scales. Sloth Arcocephale, bad. We've got the god of Pangea. This is actually a really solid god. Incarnate, awake, fortitude, Stygian flesh, undead command. Stygian flesh, irrelevant to it, but fortitude is a fantastic awake bless. And scales, not bad. Growth 3, that's fantastic to get. So that's Grigory Rasputin, Slithering Constipation. We have Luigi G. Allen, who is an awake, this is the god of Jomon, an awake Great Onmyoji, with a kind of weird bless, only production 1, which is gonna sting, because Jomon really suffers when they don't have production, but then so does Gath, so I don't have any fucking sympathy. Volcano Surprise, the god of Phlegra, who has an irrelevant bless, and fantastic scales and fantastic dominion on an imprisoned god. So this is actually a pretty good god for Phlegra overall. The god of Midgard, the goodest boy. Frost weapons and recuperation, dormant. Good scales. The god of Mechlin, Lizard Dam, with withering weapons, 2 times strong vitae, and blood bond. Incarnate, so that's actually a pretty interesting bless for Ocelotl summons, for the national blood summons of Mechlin. That's pretty solid. And this guy's got a cool headdress, so he's nice. The god of Ulm, Python, who is a bitch queen. Rainbow Bless, he did get the Vampire Summoner. He got Death 4, Blood 5. So pretty nice. Dormant, mediocre scales. Patala has probably the best expanding god, except it's dormant. And also has the Berserker Bless. So Sacred Mage is going to be a little bit hard to use sometimes. Prod 3, not really necessary for Patala, but not bad scales. The god of Atlantis, imprisoned wolf with the water-breathing incarnate bless. On Atlantis, the entirely amphibious nation. This is the funniest by far. Master Blaster, my god, we've already seen how crappy he is. One good boy, I forget what that's called. It's one of the Sphinxes. Superior morale attack skill, Farcaster on Abyssia, not terrible. Death 2. Rip. The god of Bogarus, Death 3. Rip. We've already talked about the god of... Wait. Yeah, the god of Phlegra is on here twice, for some reason. The god of Marignan is one of the titans. I think this is the titan of the Crossroads, I want to say. Awake, with actually pretty good scales. And the Berserker Bless. So that'll be fun for Marignan. All of their priests are holy, and they're all going to berserk anytime he casts Blessing. So that's fantastic. I love it. That's vegan activist. We've got Kana Kamui, who is a Drakon with Nature 9 and no regeneration, also imprisoned. I'm so sorry, Arithia. Double resilient, low light vision, minor poison resistance, that's fine. And then recuperation, which really doesn't matter. Pythium got a Golden Lion with the Berserker Bless and nothing else. Awake with pretty good scales. Magic 3, a little bit of Sloth, which is bad for Roman nations, but Order 3, Cold 3 for some reason. And then Magic 3, that's fine. This can actually probably expand, at least into light provinces. Relay got an Utter Vast with Astral 9, Fire 10. So he has, and he's dormant, of course. Death 3, Sloth 3, Turmoil 3, just hell scales, except neutral luck and magic. Awe is a pretty good bless, so that's kind of cool. Shibalba got a giant stone head with a ton of incarnate blesses and bad scales. But that's okay for Shibalba, I guess. Water breathing again on a nation of frogs. So once again, water breathing strikes again. Water breathing is the sleeper hit of this game. Blood Bond, good. Stygian Flesh, great. Fire and Shock Resistance, excellent. Stygian Flesh, I should say, fine. So, great, fine, great. All in all, pretty solid. And the god of Satis is like an actual god. Imprisoned, excellent scales, especially for a random god. Good rainbow non-incarnate bless, including Blood Surge and major magic resistance. That's solid value. Satis is by far the winner of the god sweepstakes here. Calum got a Sphinx with Air 8. Dormant with pretty decent scales. Cold 2, which is a huge waste, though. And Agartha got the Netter of the Underworld, Death 10. He won the lottery. He also won the lottery in that he got Production 3 on Agartha, which is exactly what Agartha needs. Good scales overall, Imprisoned, Undying, Undead Command, that's kind of valuable, although not very on Agartha, and Death Weapons, for no apparent reason. So those are the gods, and this should be interesting. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, I am definitely, in terms of gods, I'm sort of in trouble, to be honest. Master Blaster is just disgustingly bad. We'll see. Once he wakes up, he should be able to do some work with that Blood 9, Death 5. He can summon Vampire Lords. If nothing else, I can use him to Blood Hunt really, really fast. And that might be really useful, because I might have to bootstrap myself right up to Blood 3 and get the Seir summoning going instantly. And if I can just have this guy blood hunting one of my provinces and churning out like a ton of slaves per turn, enough to cast the spell twice every turn, so I can get 4 Seirim per turn, that would work. So I'm gonna try for that. In any case, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in turn 2. Okay, actually, before we end this episode, there were 2 important things I had to do. The first was rename my prophet, so please welcome Anti-Entity, the Giddite commander, and the second was look around for neighbors. Because, of course, in the late age, you can see 3 provinces away from yourself. So we do have Bogarus over here. That's fantastic, because Bogarus doesn't want to be rushed, and I don't want to be rushed, so that's a pretty secure flank. Down this side, we've got Calum. That's also probably okay. Over on this side, we've got... Who? Do I have a neighbor? Neighbors? I'm gonna have a neighbor over here, I'm sure. I don't see anybody, though. Don't see anybody. Assad, Old Coast, Light Hills. Okay, so I can only see 2 of my neighbors. We've got Bogarus, and we've got Calum in the swamp down here. Alright. That will be interesting to keep in mind. Score graphs? No, I don't want score graphs. That will definitely be interesting to keep in mind. Calum had... What was their god? Where's their flag? Birdie. Oh, that's right. He was the air. That was the air eagle. And then Bogarus, I don't remember, but it wasn't very impressive. Alright, so, worth keeping in mind. I'll contact those two and we'll work something out. In any case, thanks for watching once again, and I'll see you next turn. Alright, folks, welcome back to Accidental Ascension 3, turn 1? Yeah, that's right, it's turn 1 again. We had to restart because Prey forgot to put in one of the nations, so one guy just didn't get in the game. So, we've redone that. We're back. We've prophetized anti-entity again. We're sneaking out our guy. This start is garbage compared to our last one. It might still work. It'll still be okay-ish, but here's the big problem. The closest wasteland is over here, 264 Searing Sands. I don't see... Actually, I see no neighbors whatsoever. I can't see who's around me. I don't see any neighbors there, but that just means that they're, like, really close. Like, there's somebody, like, right over here or right over here, which means I'm probably not going to get that wasteland. The other closest wasteland is way down here, and I guarantee someone has access to that one. So, yeah, a little bit boned. Little bit, very slightly boned. Oh well. Oh well, it'll be okay. We will make it through. We only have, see, this was the previous start right there, right? Wasteland, good provinces, farm with a mountain farm, so it'll have sites. Whatever that thing is, that's pretty cool. Lots of mountains. Up here, only 4 connections. 2 of them are forests, so good resources there. And then 1 is a mountain, so once again, good resources. Excellent resources. Excellent resources in this province. Good resources in that province. So we've got options. We'll be able to accumulate our resources quickly, but it is kind of a bummer that now I'm going to have to basically go to war in order to have Seirim instead of just kind of having them. So, yeah. In any case, that's turn 1. Like I said, I can see no neighbors. I don't know who is who. They're all slightly outside my range, which I guess is nice because it gives me more room, but it also means that I don't know what I'm dealing with. So in any case, that's the turn. The Leeching Darkness, Eater of Filth, Master of Suffering, Prince of Ashes. What a set of titles. Wow. I love it. Alright, I'll see y'all in the real turn 2. Okay, folks, Accidental Ascension 3, turn 2. I went back. Instead of recruiting last turn, I spent literally all of my money hiring Dante's Stingers, a mercenary band, because I desperately needed the power right away. I often don't hire mercenaries, but it's the only way I can think of to get expansion going early. I had to have them, so I recruited them. I spent, like I said, I threw all of my cash into it, and I did successfully get them. So we now have 30 spearmen for 3 turns, and we're gonna just use them up. We are going to use them up. We now have vision on these provinces right around us. This one looks like the best bet. It has 91 resources, which is what I need desperately, and a decent bit of income, and most importantly, it's guarded by relatively few troops. Now, here's an important thing that I didn't notice beforehand. That's that wasteland, right? The wasteland that's closest to us. That's Raga. Remember how I said I couldn't see any neighbors? Yeah, I actually could. It was just closer than I thought it was. So Raga is right next to us, literally sharing cap circles. That's war distance. Like, we can barely not. And it's cutting us off from the wasteland. Now, Gath needs wastelands. Like, wastelands are super important. First of all, because for the demon summons, but also because there are some other summons that I didn't talk about in the strategy video, and that I should have. It was pointed out actually by a viewer almost immediately, and I was like, shit, how could I have forgotten to talk about that? Mazikim can be summoned anywhere, and that's fine, and they're good chaff. You can spam them out as soon as you have some nature gems. But there's a spell called... Where is it? I think it's an enchantment, actually. Yeah, Memories of Stone. Memories of Stone that your Yidonai is a spell your Yidonai can cast, the ones who random death to, or any of them that you give a death stick. It summons 5 or more fossil warriors. Fossil warriors are skeletal giants with natural prot 25, and they're sacred. So they hit like trucks. They're resistant to fire, cold, and of course poison because they're undead. They're undead and they're Rephites. So the fire resistance is the Rephite bit, the cold and poison is the undead bit. So they hit super hard, they have super high protection, they have lots of hit points, and they're sacred. So they fit in very well with a Sacred Bless strategy. This is a spell that Gath will want to cast a lot, and I really should have talked about it. Also, of course, Gath can summon the Jewish angels, the Hinnom line angels. Not really relevant because it's hard to actually get those paths on Gath. Like Call Hashmal, even that is sort of a pain in the neck because you don't natively have the Astral Fire cross path at all. Can be done in the same way that Hinnom can do it. You just kind of have to empower somebody, but you don't start off with Astral 3. So you end up in this position where, yeah, you can call Hashmals if you want. It's a bit of a pain in the neck, but you can get to it. But then Ulfons are really, really hard for you to get. Because you have to boost Astral by, assuming you start with an Astral 2 random, you have to boost Astral by 3 still. Or if you start with a Fire 2 random, you have to boost Astral by, more than that, but you don't have to empower in Fire. It becomes awkward just because you start running out of booster slots. But you can potentially call Ulfons. Really, these two spells I think are only going to come into play most of the time if you've built a Pretender God for them, or if you happen to get the Throne of Flames, which has the Mages of the Golden Order who are Fire 2, Astral 2. And that throne, of course, is not in this game because all of these are level 3 thrones, and that's a level 2 throne. In any case, I have an expansion force now. It's actually a pretty substantial one. 55 units all told. We're going to take that province, and then probably we're just going to have to double back and take this province. Hopefully, after that, my recruitment will be good enough that I can go up and take this province, the Woods of Weeping, with Gittite soldiers or Gibbors. As I said before, I think Gibbors are still my most efficient use of resources, although Gittite soldiers are definitely going to be close. Gittite soldiers are going to give me very similar durability for my resources. It's 13 more hit points for 14 more resources. And the hit points are already very close. Prot is the same. Defense skill is higher on the Gibbors. Yeah, we're going to go with the Gibbors, I guess. Because the other option would be Gittite soldier and Naphtali spearman or something. I could do that, but I'm going to stick with most of the Gibbor. We're recruiting 3 Issacharite sages this turn. We've already got 2, since we can pump those guys out very, very quickly. So we're going to rocket up the research tree as well as we can in an effort to kind of compensate for the fact that we're not going to be expanding very quickly. But if we can get that province, probably cannot get that I may just throw my spearmen into that province just to see, or one of these provinces down here, like whatever we can do. We're blocked off by a river entirely to the south. So that might be passable in midwinter. It might be. But otherwise, this peninsula is just cut off by that river, and I can't really get across it. That's a huge problem, but it'll have to be a problem for another date. This is an enormous map, so going around the other way is not a viable option to solve that problem either. And of course, I don't have any water magic, or air for that matter. I could eventually teleport across it, but that's about it. So, given that, I'm kind of going to be locked here, which is once again going to force me to expand in this direction, which means I'm going to have to go to war with Raga. There just isn't another way. So yeah, we're just gonna end up doing that. I mean, there isn't. I literally don't have another option. I cannot let him be here, occupying this circle, cutting me off from all expansion. Because if he occupies that circle, then I have these provinces. That. It's just not tenable. I mean, you can see I could become like a completely coastal power, but there's going to be somebody up here who's going to stop me, and overall, it's just going to make me. Geographically, I might be absolutely screwed. Like, it's possible that I'm just absolutely 100% geographically screwed here. By the existence of that river and the existence of Raga. I don't know why the map, allowed us to be placed there. That's really, really close. And this is not a small map. I mean, this is not a small map. It's huge. I know we have a lot of players on it, but even so, we should not be 2 provinces away like that. That's just... anyway, I'm just whining at this point. In any case, what we're gonna do is we're gonna, like I said, sweep around this way. See if we can take that. In the winter, we're going to see if we can get across here to earn a little bit more breathing room, grab a couple of farms. And, yeah, hopefully taking this province will open up our resources a lot. It should, because we have Administration 60, so we should start getting like 150 resources just from taking high peaks. That will be enough to let us pump out more Gibbors, or just spam the hell out of Gittite soldiers, and that will get us some decent expansion. Once we've gotten probably about 10 or 12 Issacharite sages, maybe we'll go 3 turns on Issacharite sages. That will give us 11 total. This one actually randomed Astral 1, so he got an extra research point. But that'll give us, you know, somewhere between 66 and 70 research points per turn in 3 more turns. And after we've done that, we'll switch to recruiting primarily Kohens. We'll want to throw in an Abba or 2 and a Yedonai in order to go site searching. And then we'll start pumping out Kohens, because Kohens will be our blood hunters, and we will want to get blood hunting kicking off pretty quickly. Although, actually, tell the truth, if we don't have that wasteland, then blood hunting isn't going to be such a priority early on, because, I mean, blood is still good, like, don't get me wrong. And we could still go down here to bind a devil and start spamming those out. But it's not nearly so valuable if we don't have a wasteland, because scapegoats is really, really the spell that we want. We might just go down to summon Mazakim and try spamming Mazakim. Start pumping out Abbas instead of Kohens early on. Abbas and Issacharite Sibyls. I'll tell you what, because Issacharite Sibyls in my dominion are only very, very slightly better at research than Issacharite Sages. So doing this would slow research down, but it would enable me to kickstart site searching, and it would give me some actual magic. So what I might do is 1 Sage and 1 Issacharite Sibyl per turn. That means I'm only getting actually 13 research points per turn instead of 18. So I'm sacrificing 5 research points per turn to do that, and that is, I mean, it's like sacrificing an owl quill every turn. It adds up pretty rapidly. But I think the magic, and it would be more than that actually, because I would be sending this lady out to site search. Let's do this for a couple of turns, get a couple of Issacharite Sibyls, or actually right this turn, I'm just gonna go straight for an Abba. We're gonna send this Abba out site searching immediately to start building up some nature gems, and then I'll recruit a couple of Abbas, and then we'll go back to pumping out Issacharite Sages full time. Okay, that will be the plan. In terms of research, then, we actually want to go down to Conjuration 3 right off the bat. Now that will get us Mazakim. And then after that, we'll work on our other research priorities. It'll take a little while to get that far. Ooh, baby. This is going to be a rough one. Okay, so that's turn 2. And I'll see you all in turn 3.